Hi paper crafters, today I'll be talking about 3 simple steps that you can take to really make a gift tag pop. I'll be demonstrating how you can turn a simple wrapped gift like this into something much more special and personalized. This approach works for absolutely any tag dies. The one I'll be using today is an anchor tag die. This one is brand new by Simon Says Stamp. This tag already has an anchor image in it, as well as the stitched frame pattern and also a hole to hang a tag. So all you have to do is to send it through your die cutting machine, and at this point you can be done. The tag is ready to go onto the gift just as it is. I am not sure if the stitched line is showing upon the camera, but it's really pretty in real life. Here I have my gift already wrapped in a craft wrapping paper. I have a huge roll of it and I use it for nearly all my gift wrapping. So what are we normally doing with a wrapped gift like that? The most traditional approach is to tie up a piece of ribbon or twine around it, attach a tag and tie up a bow, just like I'm doing now. That was quick and easy and the gift looks quite pretty, but there is much more we can do to really personalize it for a special someone. The first simple step that you can take is create a card base for your tag. What can be more personal than a personal message? I nearly always find that I need to add it to my gifts. You can also step in greeting, or at least you will need to write to and from. So I have measured my tag and I have created a card base that is exactly the size of my tag, using a paper trimmer and a scoring board. For this tag you have to trim the cardstock to 2.5 by 6 3/4. Since the tag has rounded edges, I'm placing it over the card base and then using the scissors to round up the corners of the card base. I will attach the tag to the base a little bit later, and now let's move on to the next step, which would be adding the finishing touches. That means that we are going to jazz up the tag itself to add something for the eyes to rest upon. I'll be using this beautiful stamp set by Stampers Anonymous called Sea Life. I have had it for quite a while but never used it before. I'm gonna be stamping this seaweed image onto my tag. Then I'm going to flip it over at 180 degrees and stamp it again. The ink I'm using is ESPRESSO by Altenew, and it's just great for intricate stamped images like this one. Then I'm going to tie up a piece of twine onto the tag, and you'll see me trimming it off really short because actually I'm not planning to tie it up. I'll be using another approach for attaching the tag. You'll see it later. As always, the tools and supplies I'm using are listed down below in the description as well as on my blog. And now I am ready to attach the tag onto the card base. I'm using a double-sided tape. So this is how we added a perfect little space for the message. Since the tag now has an intricate background, it will also require a stronger focal image. So I have die cut that anchor image 3 times out of cream cardstock, and the top layer is the gold mirror cardstock. I am layering all 3 images for more dimension and placing the golden one at the very top. Then I'm going to attach the anchor onto the tag with the liquid glue. There is only one thing to keep in mind. You have to apply the glue only onto the spine of the anchor, but not onto those feet or arms or whatever the term for this part is in anchor anatomy. One more pretty detail that I'd like to add is a sentiment. I'll be using the die from the same new release by Simon. It's called Thanks Frame. I've die cut the background out of vellum and the outline out of white cardstock. I think vellum is a great material for backing up the sentiments, because this way you will still be able to see the stamped background as well as the anchor through the vellum. My favorite adhesive to use with the vellum is a Ranger Multimedia Matte because it dries clear and invisible. Needle applicator bottle is also super handy when you have to work with such super intricate images like this one. To attach the sentiment onto the tag, I'm applying glue only at both short sides of the frame and only behind the white pieces, and then I'm tucking it behind these feet of the anchor like that. I'm holding it down until the glue sticks. One last finishing touch would be that pearl that I added to the anchor, but I'm gonna do it a bit later. And now let's move on to the last step, which is creating a background. By adding a pattern onto the gift wrap, you can really tie it up with your tag and it's going to make your tag pop. Here again I'm using the craft wrapping paper. First I'm going to define where exactly my tag will be on the finished project, and then I'm going to add the background using both stenciling and stamping. You can use just one technique, by the way. I'm going to start with the stenciling. I find it easier this way. I'll be using a Stripes stencil by Tim Holtz. I think that when you add horizontal stripes to your project, it always makes you think of water in the first place. I'm applying tea-dye distress ink with a sponge applicator, and by the way, this way you're not going to apply too much ink, and even if you have thin wrapping paper, it will not show through. Then I'm going to use other images from the same stamp set that I used for the tag to finish off my background. I'm just playing around with them to find the best position, and then I'm going to kind of mark the placement of that lobster with the pieces of paper. Then I'm going to stamp it with the brown ink, the same one again that I used for the tag. By the way, if your gift is really large, you don't have to cover up the entire surface with the pattern. You can only use it for the areas that are behind the tag and close to the tag. Then I'm going to stamp an octopus image as well. I'm making sure I'm inking up the stamp really well because I'm not using a stamp positioner tool and I only have one shot. By the way, I really like that stamping block. It is a bit pliable and it allows you to apply more pressure in the middle, not only around the edges. The stamping block is a part of the stamp set. I will link it up in the description as well. And now I have decided to add a couple of smaller fish images too. Since everything is water themed, I thought that some splattering would be nice. I am diluting some ground espresso distress ink with water and adding splashes all around the gift. Now I am done with the background and I'm ready to attach my tag. And by the way, you absolutely don't have to use the ribbon or twine if you don't want to. Now I'm using just a couple of glue dots, and this way I can attach a tag anywhere I want it on my gift. These dots are repositionable, so if the recipient wants to keep a tag, they can totally detach it. You can always add more or less finishing touches depending on the look you are going for. Here I have decided to add just one large half pearl onto the anchor, and I'm using some leftover enamel dots to sprinkle them all around the gift surface. Now I can call today's gift wrapping done, and this is what the finished project looks like. Just to remind you, the 3 steps that I've taken to personalize this gift are adding a card base to a tag for personal message, then adding some finishing touches to the tag itself, and then creating the background for it. So this is the difference between basic use of a gift tag and a little bit advanced one. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you again really soon. Bye bye!